has been now published in a couple of languages.
Well, speaking with Robert Mazur today, he's a former undercover federal agent, author of The Infiltrator, My Secret Life Inside the Dirty Banks Behind Pablo Escobar's Medellin Cartel. And we've been talking to you here today about Fast and Furious and some of the other things that are going on in the world. Tell us a little bit about the information. How did you manage to bring down the BCCI?
Well, it was a very long journey. It was I'd been involved. I've been a federal agent for 27 years. I retired, but during that time frame, I spent probably 20 years working on nothing but international money laundering cases. And 5 of those 20 I spent in deep cover, long-term undercover. I volunteered for that position, as many men and women who are federal agents do. I went through the undercover schools that are offered by the federal government and was mentored by some of the best undercover agents that this country has seen, including the likes of Joe Pistone, that the movie and the book Donnie Brasco was based on. Through that training, that not only included experienced undercover agents, but also people involved in training and psychologists. I was vetted to work long-term undercover. There's a process that you need to go through to be prepared for the very strenuous physical and mental strains you're going to face doing that type of work, and some people just aren't suited for that. But after getting through the schools, I had about a year and a half to put together a sophisticated front with the help of about a half dozen informants and concerned citizens, and emerged from that with a completely verifiable new identity. And I was an active member of a series of operating businesses, including an investment company in Florida, a mortgage company in Florida. We had an air charter service that operated from Florida to the Bahamas, and a jewelry chain with about 70 locations on the East Coast, and even a brokerage firm with a seat on the New York Stock Exchange. So that, coupled with the endorsement of 2 members of one of the 5 New York crime families, Italian-American crime families, I didn't have to be the best undercover agent in the world. I had a lot of resources, a lot of support. I had a great team around me that enabled me to then use the next 2 years to climb the structure of the Medellin cartel and to deal with many of the direct reports to Pablo Escobar, including the likes of his principal consigliere, who was an attorney out of Medellin. The rest of the world thought he was a professor at the University of Medellin. He was, but a practicing lawyer and somebody who dealt with the legislature. But the reality was that he was a mastermind behind helping to put together international money laundering schemes. And he even had the authority to, on days, make a vote on who should live or who should die. So I dealt with the likes of him and many others similar to him, as well as the senior management of the International Bank, BCCI, and other institutions that they dealt with. I became somewhat of a conduit for them between the, quote, legal banking community and business community that launders drug proceeds and the cartels. I recorded probably, between me and my undercover partner, probably 1,200 recordings with bank officers and senior executives and also cartel people. And that was the cornerstone of the prosecution of about 100 individuals that we arrested as a result of that operation.
Robert Mazur with us today. This guy is amazing. He is a forensic investigator, president of Chase and Associates, an investigative agency that services law firms and corporations throughout the U.S. Now, tell us about your time as a federal agent, my friend. How did you become an undercover federal agent?
Well, I became a federal agent really by accident. It was another hard economic time in the country. It was the early 70s, and I was in college, and I was simply looking for a job to make a little extra money to get myself through school, or help my parents to get me through school, because they deserve the majority of that credit. But so I was looking for a job, and I went to the jobs board, and here was this thing, a co-op position for an agency called, at the time, the Intelligence Division of the IRS. And they handled criminal cases. They're now known as the Criminal Investigation Division of IRS. They work with other agencies, oftentimes on major drug cases, on cases on mobsters, corrupt politicians, major cases that require talent to be able to follow the money. I had an accounting background, and that seemed a lot more interesting than becoming a CPA. So I took that job, made a little extra money, and was offered upon graduation a position as a special agent, a federal agent within that agency. And I stayed there for about a third of my career, went on to the U.S. Customs Office of Enforcement, which is now the Department of Homeland Security, Immigrations and Customs section. And then the last third of my career, I decided to move on to the Drug Enforcement Administration. But really, in all the agencies that I was in, I was continually working on the same targets, the same types of targets, from the money side, that being the leaderships of major drug cartels.
Robert Mazur with us today. This guy is amazing. We always enjoy having him on. Forensic investigator. He infiltrated just an amazing, amazing thing with Pablo Escobar. It's just amazing here. Now, tell us a little bit about how life as an undercover agent has affected your life today.
Anybody who's really done long-term undercover, they may not want to admit it, but it's going to have an impact on you for the rest of your life.
Yeah.
The rigors of having two lives, and the need that you that you have to meet to pretty much abandon your real life. And when I say abandon it, I don't mean forget who you are, because you always, is foremost in your mind is who you are and what you're really there for. But unfortunately, you have to leave loved ones behind. I had and I'm still married to the same lady. She was my high school sweetheart, and that's probably part of why we're still together. I think many families would have been broken up over this whole type of experience. But my wife and two kids. I had a son that was 11 and daughter that was 9 when I started this undercover operation that's addressed in the book. And to be away for a month or so at a time and come home for a day or two may not sound like much, but over years period of time, it really can create a challenge for you to manage your real life. And even the day or two that you're back, your mind is completely focused on your involvement in the underworld, because if it's not, you're going to die. You could make a slip up. It can just be not just what you say, your mannerisms. I mean, everything is studied by these people. The people I dealt with, they're not the profile of Scarface by any means. These are people who spoke 3 and 4 languages. They were very well educated, doctors, lawyers, corporate executives. They are the real brains behind these organizations. They have minds that would challenge that of Bill Gates. If they decided to go straight, they would be Fortune 500 company leaders. They just happen to be in this business. They approach it the same way. They've got a cost of goods sold, cost of transportation, cost of personnel. It's all factored in, and they make a lot of money. It costs them maybe $500 to make a kilo of cocaine, probably about $2,000, maybe $2,500 to get it into the United States. So with $3,000 invested, they'll turn that around for $16,000 or so for a kilo at wholesale market, and make $13,000 at a time. And for those who haven't seen the news of late as to how that's being done, they're so sophisticated. They build many dozens of semi-submersible submarines now that will carry 15,000 pounds of cocaine at a time, and those come into Mexico or into other countries or countries in Latin America, or go through the Caribbean, either and drop these huge loads of cocaine off. They operate out of Venezuela, and take from there their major distribution of cocaine into Europe that goes through Africa. They're corrupting the French-speaking African nations in North Africa, the French-speaking nations in Africa, like Togo, Benin, Mali, Ghana. These are all places where they transship literally hundreds of kilos, thousands of kilos of cocaine at a time, and move literally hundreds of millions of dollars at a time. It's big business. The Colombian cartels are the fuel that generates the Mexican cartel activity. That's where they get their cocaine from, although the Mexicans do produce their own heroin and methamphetamine and marijuana. All the cocaine emanates from the powers of the Colombian cartels. So it's an unbelievable business that you really can only get to the super high-ranking people within these organizations, in my view, through these undercover money laundering operations, which now, unfortunately, because of some of the premature statements, I think, that have been made by Congressman Issa, are probably going to be on hold for a while the cartel continues to generate more profits for their treasury.
Well, Robert, I always enjoy having you on. I always enjoy having you tell your story, and thanks for bringing us an update on this Darrell Issa situation. I really do appreciate it, Rob.
Oh, well, you're very welcome, and if your listeners want to get any information about my book, you can find it at the-infiltrator.com. It's the-infiltrator.com.
Well, that'll work. Well, Robert, have yourself a good one, and we'll talk to you soon, my friend.
Thank you.
Appreciate it. Robert Mazur here on the world-famous Jiggy Jaguar show. I'll tell you, the guy is amazing. He's an amazing talent, and we always enjoy having Robert on. Check out the-infiltrator.com.